everyone, I hope you're all well. I wanted to use this lockdown time to really cover a number of things that I just haven't really had the time to do before, but things that I think are really important and things that I cover in consultations with all of my clients. So I'm going to be doing a series of videos around all of the questions that I commonly get. So today's video is around pain and fillers. So probably second to questions around safety, most people will ask, is lip filler treatment painful? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly cover the different facial areas and pain relative to that. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the lips because they are by far the most popular treatment area for all of the obvious reasons. Now, when it comes to lips, because the surface area of the lips is quite small relative to other areas of the face, I, along with a number of different practitioners, tend to use needles in this area because the area really requires a level of precision that, in my opinion, I just don't think that you can get with a cannula. The way that I particularly do my treatments and the way that I find that lip filler sits really nicely, gives the optimum results and lasts really well is by doing two things. So the first thing being is I tend to do multiple punctures along the lips with very small amounts of filler in them, and I do this because largely you are unlikely to get any lumps and unevenness by doing this, and I tend to find that the lips settle really nicely with this technique, and equally doing this technique I tend to find that you can really lift the area of the lip rather than giving that ducky sort of look. However, this obviously means that there are multiple punctures, and when there's multiple punctures there's more trauma. However, that being said, what I tend to do is do the border of the lips first, and I do this for a couple of reasons. So firstly, it's about really making that border pop, and I think one of the best ways to achieve a beautiful lip is to have really good definition, and I think when it comes to lips, definition wins over volume. If you've got good definition, you can of course build the volume, but that's the way you're going to get a really beautiful result. So that's the first reason I do it. But the second reason that I do the border is because the fillers that I use have anesthetic in it. So what I try to do is, by doing the border first and going the whole way around the lips, is that I'm really allowing the anesthetic to start working within the lip, which then means when I come to do those multiple punctures, really you're not feeling a very severe sort of pain at all. It's mild, if anything. So that's what I tend to do. So really, if you're worried about the pain when it comes to having lip fillers done, firstly, think about, is it something that you want to do? Discuss it with your practitioner, and then you may, between you, decide a different sort of technique just to suit your level of anxiety. But secondly, if you do want to do it, the way that I tend to do it with the majority of my customers, it's probably the first 3 minutes that are a bit sore. I tend to say it feels a little bit like when you have a spot on your lip and you go to squeeze that. It's a little bit sort of sharp for the first sort of 3 minutes, and then after that it just gets less and less painful throughout the time as the anesthetic really kicks in, and probably towards the end you're not really feeling anything at all. So whilst it's probably the highest on the pain scale, it is by no means unbearable, and most people would probably say that. So next I'm just going to cover the rest of the face. So where I can, I will use a cannula. It is my favourite sort of tool for treating the majority of the face, if I feel like it's something that is going to give a good result. So to do tear trough, cheeks, jaw, smile lines, I would always use a cannula. And I will do a separate video on the difference between needle and cannula, but just as a headline, cannulas are sort of long, blunt instruments. So the positives around it, firstly, it's incredibly safe, but secondly, it actually has, it ends up giving sort of much less trauma because you're only doing a small number of punctures, and that's just to get the cannula in. So if you've had your lips done, it's an absolute breeze having the other areas done. If you haven't had your lips done and it's something that you're considering, it's really very mild and it feels like maybe a mild sort of sting. Lastly, I'm going to cover the nose. So the nose is an area that I do tend to use a needle. However, it doesn't really tend to be a very painful area, largely because, again, I use a very, very small amount of filler in that area, but secondly because there's actually very, very few puncture sites to achieve, you know, a good non-surgical rhinoplasty. So I hope I've covered everything. If I haven't, or if I have and you've still got more questions, please comment below or send me a DM, and I look forward to doing the next video.